Hi, I'm Victor Cantore. I'm with Amex Exploration. It's an exciting gold project. We've been drilling. We just finished a 300,000 meter drill program. We're doing 100,000 meters this year, another 100,000 meters next year. It's probably one of the largest drill programs in Canada right now.
It definitely is. That's a lot of drilling. That's a lot of meters.
Yeah.
300,000 plus another 200,000 to come. Fantastic. Hey, well, good to see you over here. It's lovely seeing you face. I saw you back in London when you joined us there for one-to-one. I want to talk to you about the way that this company is moving forward and how it's moving forward. You want to talk about drilling, so should we get that out of the way?
Sure.
I say, just finished a very big program. You're funded for the next program coming up. So what are you going to be focused on?
So we've raised this year in January, we raised $49.6 million in what we call a charity flow through. So the good part about that is that we know that all the money is going into the ground. It's going for exploration. We did put out numbers back in January saying that 94% of the money spent has gone into the ground. We really run a tight G&A. We're gonna be expanding a lot of zones. We keep making discoveries. So some of the more exciting ones is the E2 zone, which is kind of side by side with the high grade zone. So what that does, it's going to dramatically increase the ounces per vertical meter. What's also really exciting is the Denise zone. In a couple of weeks ago, we put out drill results on that. So we've doubled the strike length. We went from 400 meters to 800 meters, and they were really exciting numbers. You're talking about 30 some odd meters of 11 grams per ton.
I saw.
Yeah, those were nice numbers. We believe we'll be able to double that. So it's coming up shortly. We're just waiting for drill permits, and we're going to continue on drilling further out.
You've extended it, but are you seeing the same sort of ore body, same sort of composition? And to you, it feels like it could be more of the same.
Absolutely, that's really what it's been. And we know there is historical. There's very little drilling as you go further out, but there has been gold hits from the past. So geologically speaking, we do believe it will be able to go out at least to 1.6 kilometers. That's where we have some of those hits, and it's the Denise zone. It should be more or less the same type of numbers that we've been hitting on the Denise zone.
Okay, so you've gone from 400 meters to 1.6 kilometers.
Well, we're done to 800. That's for sure, and now we believe we're going to double that.
Super exciting. So the 100 meters, how does it actually break down? Because I don't know what your seasonal drilling looks like.
It's on strike length, so it just keeps going. We do believe the body's the same. We end up drilling it to about the Denise zone will end up being an open pit from what it looks like right now. So you try to keep
open pit.
High grade. Well, you try to keep it. It's probably be a one. I mean, right now, if you look at some of the results, just the 30 meters of 11 grams, that was one of our better hits.
Yeah.
It's an exceptional hit. I mean, we've had 100 plus meters at close to 2 grams, 1.21, 1 gram. So that would be great. If again, I'm not a mining engineer, but if I'd be mining this, you open pit it, and then you go into the high grade of the high grade zone, which those two zones are pretty much close together.
Okay, so again with the 100, you're stepping out. This isn't infill drilling. This is you're stepping out meaningful distances to kind of cover the ground. Over what period of time?
It's going to be starting very shortly. We're just waiting for the drill permits, and we have 9 drills turning on other targets. But the minute we get that, that's going to be immediately. And usually drill permits take us about 30 days or so. So it's going to be on any day the drills will start turning. We'll just be doing step outs, 100 meter step outs, as far as we can go.
So it's very simple stuff.
It is.
And is it cheap drilling? I mean, what's it cost per meter?
Things have increased. I mean, we're just slightly over $200 a meter right now. And when I'm saying $200 a meter, I'm saying all in, everything. Okay. Including assays, sleeping, food, everything.
Okay, so that's pretty good.
It's still pretty good, and that's because we're so close to infrastructure.
Right. And then talk to me about the plan, because you're going to have to start painting a picture for people to understand. Okay, you say open pit, but what does that actually mean in the context of if this thing could become a mine? What's going to attract the bigger guys who may be circling or certainly looking at an operation like yours right now? They're going to have a view of it's near some sort of good infrastructure, but they're going to say, well, where can we put a mill? There's enough room for tailings. There's enough room for all of the things that they're going to need to do. So, do you need to start doing some studies yourself in terms of working on what goes where?
One of the things that adds a lot of values that adds a lot of value is you want to start your environmental work, your baseline, because that pretty much eliminates if there's any issues or problems. I'm not expecting any issues or problems. It was a past producing mine. It was mined for 50 years from the late 20s to the late 70s. There's an existing tailings pond over there. So I'm not expecting any environmental issues. When you look at what's around there, you've got electricity. The power plant that actually supplies the electricity to Hecla is in Normétal, and it supplies the city also. Okay. So you have electricity. Most of the drill sites, it's cell phone accessible. So you really have all the infrastructure that you need right around you.
So have you started that environmental process?
It's something that we're going to be starting very shortly.
And how long does that take?
It should take about 9 months to a year.
Okay.
Because it's the baseline, so it should, and that will advance the project. So eventually, whether it be us or somebody else wants to take this into production, you're already advanced on that work.
Right. So that's the first 100,000 meters, and then you just mentioned another 100,000 meters after that. Next year, right? So you have no idea where that's going to go at the moment.
Well, we've really expanded the exploration expansion, finding new zones, exploration. At one point, we were really doing a lot of defining on the high grade zone. But some of the numbers, even the numbers that we put out about 2 weeks ago, it was in the high grade zone, but it's actually expansion because it was in an area where there was very little. There was very little gold, and we got some nice numbers. 15 meters of 15 grams, and another one was 11 meters of 11 grams. We wanted to have at least two holes before we declare it. It's an additional zone. Right. So it's really expansion drilling, some more deep drilling, but we're really looking for new zones. The same way we found the E2 zone. There's another zone that we're calling it now E3 zone, but we're going to concentrate on the E2 zone first. It's a parallel zone right beside the high grade zone. We think the E3 zone should start giving us some really good numbers equivalent to what the E2 has been giving. And as we're doing that expansion drilling, going out on at least 1.6 kilometers, you're going to find we're hoping to find other high grade ore shoots in between those lower grade shoots.
Okay, and this is all enabled by the fact that you went and raised money at the right time. Was that foresight? Was that luck? Because you had a great 2020, great 2021 in terms of market appreciates what you're doing, and I'm sure at some point they'll want you to put some economics on it now. But right now, if drilling is the program that you want to follow, you got to fund that. So $49 million, not bad.
We like raising money when we have money. I mean, that was.
What do you mean by that? Why would you do that?
Don't go to a banker when you have no money. Okay. They'll be doing this.
Yeah, I know.
And we wanted to do a big enough raise where I don't have to come back to the market for a while. So the money that I raise now, that's good till 2023. So I've done the budget, so I have to spend that money by December 2023.
Oh, end of 2023 as well.
End of 2023, because I raised it in January. Had I raised that money in November or December, I would have had to spend it by December 2022.
Interesting.
And I still have hard dollars from all the warrants that were exercised on our budgets. We do run a tight G&A. I'm supposed to have between $7 or $8 million by the end of 2023 anyway. So
that's interesting. So, and what's the mindset here? So you're funded for the next 200,000 meters.
That's correct.
I think a few companies quite jealous of that. So that's kind of good news. And that money is flow through, so it's going into the ground. All good news. I'm trying to understand the mindset of, how long am I going to follow this as a drilling story? And we've seen what happened, people like Great Bear did, and
That's
obviously
great.
the returns are fabulous there, but it's a kind of outlier in a way. That doesn't always happen. So
that's great.
What's your plan? How long do you keep drilling for?
So resource, we will put one out eventually. We do have to put one out. But
what do you mean you have to?
Well, I mean,
normal.
at some point it's normal, and you have to justify what you're,
Right.
all this drilling, what you're doing. But when you're actually expanding zones and making the zones bigger, I don't really see the need to put one out right away. You keep expanding. Like, I want to put out the biggest possible resource. Where the market will punish you is if you're only doing infill drilling and you're not making new discoveries and you're not putting out a resource.
Yeah.
Then I think that's where you get, potentially you could get punished. But if not, it just keeps expanding. I know I've said it before. All our data is online. Anybody that has resource modeling software, all depends on the top cut and the cutoff. You'll know more or less how many ounces that we have. I look at Great Bear. They had made the discovery approximately 2 years before we did. We're drilling away. Great low grade zone that the Denise zone, you can get substantial ounces there. The high grade zone, we're starting to find multiple shoots. And then just yesterday when we announced the VMS discovery, that's a very interesting discovery because it's a copper rich discovery. So yesterday we confirmed it with seven holes, and all those holes are, you can call them all economic. And one of the big reasons is you have a transformation plant, you have a smelter an hour and a half away. A mill and a mill, and that's right. So you don't need to have a big. And I'm not saying it's not there, the big deposit. I'm just saying you don't need that big deposit because it's right. You have an hour and a half away. You have a smelter that wants copper rich ore.
That's very interesting in terms of economics, cash flow specifically.
That's correct.
At some point in your campaign, whether that's you or someone else, I guess is the decision to be made at some point down the line. But you're finding it easy to raise money. You're doing what you say, and I get the kind of let's keep this thing going. I guess the comparison to Great Bear is your ore body is a bit more predictable, is what you're saying, is it?
Oh, theirs was also absolutely like if I'm not a geologist, but if I have to make the comparison, they had a high grade zone just like we did. I believe their LP fault zone is where it was the lower grade, and it went on for many kilometers, like 4 kilometers, and that's where we had only 400 meters. We just turned it into 800. I want to turn it to 1.6, and there's lots of room to keep going. I mean, predictable. I can see 1.6 kilometers from here. But we need to drill it to confirm it.
Okay, well, you're fully loaded with cash.
Yeah.
You know where you're going. You know what you're doing. So I guess we'll just kind of see what comes back into the market via your news releases.
Great.
Thanks for joining us today.
We'll get together again soon.